I have sat across from women who stopped conversations without trying, not because of bone structure, not because of youth, because of something operating beneath the surface, a standard held privately that showed up publicly without announcement. Today, I am giving you the 10 daily habits behind that standard, specifically in the correct order, starting with the one nobody talks about first. Here is what the beauty industry will never tell you, because it would collapse an entire revenue model built on your insecurity. The most significant visual upgrade available to any woman costs nothing. It requires no product, no appointment, no investment beyond a decision made once and held consistently. And yet, it is the foundation beneath every other habit I'm going to give you today, which means if you skip it, the rest of this list will underperform every time. 1. Sleep architecture. The habit is sleep architecture, not just sleep, the specific structure of it. A study from the University of Stockholm, published in the British Medical Journal, had independent observers assess the attractiveness, health, and approachability of the same individuals photographed after 8 hours of sleep and after 31 hours of sleep deprivation. The results were not subtle. Sleep-deprived faces were rated as significantly less attractive, less healthy, less approachable, and, this is the detail that matters, less competent. The room makes a judgment about your capability from your face before you speak, and chronic undersleep is rewriting that judgment against you daily. But here's what the study did not cover, and what I want you to stay with me for, because this is where it gets specific. It is not the hours. It is the cortisol pattern. When sleep is consistently disrupted, even if the total hours look acceptable, cortisol, your primary stress hormone, remains elevated through the night rather than dropping during the restorative window between roughly 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. Elevated nighttime cortisol accelerates collagen breakdown, increases facial puffiness by impairing lymphatic drainage, and directly compromises skin barrier function. A woman getting 7 hours of fragmented sleep is aging her skin measurably faster than a woman getting 6 hours of uninterrupted sleep. The number is not the variable. The quality of the restorative window is. This means the first daily habit is not going to bed earlier. It is protecting the window. Lights down by 10. No screens for the final 45 minutes. Cool room. The same time every night, including weekends. Your skin does its most significant repair work in a window you keep interrupting, and the evidence is on your face every morning. The second habit is one that dermatologists describe as the single highest return daily practice for long-term skin quality, and it is consistently the most underestimated. 2. SPF. Applied correctly, every single day. I know, you have heard this, but I'm going to tell you something specific that you have almost certainly not heard, and it will change how seriously you take this tomorrow morning. A study from the Annals of Internal Medicine tracked 2 groups of adults over 4.5 years. One instructed to apply broad-spectrum SPF 50 sunscreen daily, one left to their existing habits. At the end of the study, the daily SPF group showed no detectable increase in skin aging. None. The control group aged measurably. 4.5 years of daily SPF produced skin that had effectively not aged during that period. What ages a face is not primarily time. It is cumulative UV exposure, and 80% of it is incidental. The drive to work, the walk between buildings, the window light at your desk. You are not protecting yourself from the beach. You are protecting yourself from Tuesday. The application matters as much as the product. Most women apply approximately 1/4 of the amount required to achieve the SPF on the label. 2 finger lengths of product for the face alone, applied as the final step of your morning skincare before anything else touches your face. For the woman who wants the complete system, the precise daily habits that govern how you are read visually before you speak, including the grooming standards, the appearance signals, and the exact internal calibration behind them. The first 90 seconds code is the 19-page guide I built specifically for this. The link is in the description below. If you want, you can pause the video and take a look. The third habit operates below the skin entirely, which is why most women never connect it to their appearance. And yet a study from the Journal of the American Academy of Dermatology identified it as one of the strongest dietary predictors of visible skin aging available in the research literature. 3. Linoleic acid intake. Linoleic acid is an omega-6 fatty acid found in specific oils, sunflower, safflower, evening primrose, and its relationship to skin appearance is remarkably direct. Women with higher linoleic acid intake consistently showed significantly fewer fine lines, less skin thinning, and measurably better skin barrier integrity. The mechanism is the lipid barrier, the thin protective layer that determines whether your skin holds moisture or loses it throughout the day. A compromised lipid barrier is what produces the dull, tired, slightly deflated quality of skin that no topical product fully corrects, because the problem is structural, not surface level. 1 tablespoon of high linoleic oil daily, in a salad dressing, in cooking, non-negotiable, if skin quality is a genuine priority. But here is the tension point I want you to hold while I give you the next habit, because these two work in a relationship that the beauty industry has never once explained clearly. The fourth habit is the one that determines whether habit 3 works at all. 4. Water intake, but not the way you have been told to think about it. The conventional advice is 8 glasses per day. That number has no meaningful research behind it and addresses the wrong mechanism entirely. The relevant mechanism for skin hydration is not how much water you consume. It is whether your cells are retaining the water you consume, and that is governed almost entirely by your sodium to potassium ratio. When potassium intake is insufficient relative to sodium, cellular water retention is compromised. The skin cells that should be plump and light refracting are instead slightly deflated. This is why some women drink significant amounts of water and still have dull, dehydrated looking skin. They are not deficient in water. They are deficient in the electrolyte balance that allows the cells to hold it. The correction: increase potassium-rich foods daily. Avocado, sweet potato, white beans, leafy greens. Alongside adequate water intake, this shifts the cellular environment so that the linoleic acid from habit 3 can build a functional lipid barrier in skin that is actually hydrated at the cellular level. These two habits do not work independently. They are a system. And the women whose skin has that quality of lit from within luminosity that no highlighter fully replicates, they are almost always running both. The fifth habit is one I have watched separate women in every high-level room I have ever been in, and it operates entirely in the domain of physical presence rather than skincare. 5. Posture. But I am not going to tell you to stand up straight, because that instruction produces tension, not posture. A study from the journal Biofeedback found that posture correction instructions that focus on the spine directly produce temporary muscular bracing that collapses within minutes. The correction that holds is internal and anterior. It starts at the front of the body, not the back. The specific practice: lift the sternum, not the shoulders, not the chin. The sternum, the center of the chest, lifted 1 inch. When the sternum rises, the shoulders naturally drop and open, the neck lengthens without strain, and the entire silhouette reorganizes itself into what reads to every observer as composed confidence. This is the postural adjustment that is not visible as an adjustment. It simply looks like a woman who is completely at home in her body. Hold this while I give you the next habit, because what I'm about to tell you explains why posture alone is insufficient without it. Number 6, the way you move between positions. And this is the signal most women have never once been given feedback on. A behavioral study from the University of California found that movement speed is one of the primary nonverbal cues humans use to assess social status. Specifically, people who move with deliberate, unhurried economy are consistently perceived as higher status than people who move quickly, reactively, or with visible urgency, regardless of their actual credentials or position. This is not about moving slowly. It is about moving with intention. Every gesture completed before the next begins. No reaching, adjusting, or repositioning without a reason. The specific practice is this: once per day, move through a mundane task, making tea, walking from one room to another, at half your normal speed, with full attention, not as a permanent pace, as a recalibration. The nervous system learns what unhurried movement feels like from the inside, and it begins to reproduce it automatically in social settings where self-consciousness would otherwise accelerate everything. The women who have that quality of effortless composure and motion, they are not born moving that way. They trained it in private until it became their default. The seventh habit addresses something that I want to frame precisely, because it is almost always misunderstood. 7. The way your face rests. Not your resting expression. I am not suggesting you perform pleasantness. I'm talking about the muscular default that your face returns to between expressions, and the specific tension patterns that accumulate there without your awareness. Research from the journal Cognition found that facial tension patterns, specifically around the jaw, the brow, and the muscles between the eyes, are processed by observers as indicators of stress, approachability, and perceived age, independent of actual age or attractiveness. Chronic tension in these areas compresses features, accelerates the formation of expression lines, and produces a quality of guardedness that reads socially as either stressed or closed. The practice is not a face massage, though that helps. It is a 3 times daily check, morning, midday, and before any significant social interaction, where you consciously drop the jaw slightly, release the brow, and soften the muscles around the eyes. 10 seconds. The before and after is visible in a mirror immediately. Over time, the resting baseline shifts permanently. The 8th habit is one that the research placed significantly higher in predictive value for perceived attractiveness than I expected when I first read it. 8. Scent, specifically the consistency and restraint of it. A study from the Monell Chemical Senses Center found that scent is processed in the limbic system, the brain's emotional and memory center, before any other sensory input is consciously registered, which means that before a person has formed a conscious impression of you, their emotional brain has already responded to how you smell. A signature scent, applied consistently and with restraint, creates an association that operates below conscious awareness and is disproportionately powerful in how memorable and positively regarded you become across repeated interactions. The restraint matters as much as the quality. Fragrance applied to pulse points, wrists, the base of the throat, behind the knees, if wearing a skirt, diffuses naturally with body heat. Applied to clothing, it projects rather than diffuses, and projection at close social distance reads as effortful rather than effortless. The goal is that someone near you notices it as a quality of your presence, not as a thing you are wearing. 1 fragrance, worn consistently for years. This is what creates the olfactory signature that the women you most admire have. The one where someone catches a trace of a scent somewhere unexpected and thinks involuntarily of her. The 9th habit is the one with the most direct research support for immediate visible impact, and it is the one most women either do inconsistently or skip entirely when they are busy. 9. Lymphatic drainage, specifically facial. The lymphatic system has no pump. Unlike the circulatory system, which the heart drives continuously, lymph moves only through muscular contraction and manual manipulation. In the face, where the lymph nodes sit along the jaw and beneath the ears, stagnation is the default, and stagnant lymph is responsible for the puffiness, dullness, and slightly undefined facial contour that accumulates particularly overnight. A study published in the Journal of Cosmetic Dermatology found that consistent manual lymphatic drainage of the face produced measurable improvements in skin clarity, facial contour definition, and perceived attractiveness ratings from independent observers within 4 weeks of daily practice. The practice takes 4 minutes. Starting at the center of the forehead, using light pressure, lighter than you think, lymph sits just beneath the skin surface and moving outward and downward in the direction of lymph flow toward the nodes at the jaw and below the ears, then down the sides of the neck to the clavicle nodes. Done consistently every morning, the cumulative effect on facial definition and skin clarity is visible within 2 weeks. Not subtle. The 10th habit is the one that governs the return on investment of every other habit on this list. 10. Consistency of standard, not consistency of effort. There is a distinction here that matters. Effort fluctuates. Life is not uniformly accommodating. There will be mornings with less time, evenings with less energy, weeks where the full protocol is not possible. Women who maintain the visual impression of someone who has a permanent standard do not do so by never missing. They do so by never renegotiating the standard itself. The standard is fixed. The implementation is flexible. This is why a woman can travel for 2 weeks with a fraction of her usual products and still look like herself, because the habits she holds are not product dependent, they are standard dependent. She knows exactly what is non-negotiable and what is contextual, and she never confuses the two. Decide tonight what your non-negotiables are. 3 to 5 habits from this list that you will not negotiate, regardless of circumstances. Write them down. Hold them permanently. Build the rest around them as capacity allows. That decision, made once, held consistently, is what produces the woman that other women look at and think, she always looks like that. How does she always look like that? She made a decision, in private, and she kept it. The first 90 seconds code is below, the complete system for how you are read before you speak, and exactly how to calibrate every signal. For the woman who is ready for the specific work, come back and tell me which habit you are implementing first. I read every comment. I will see you in the next one. Isabelle.